Golden Straw. Chapter 2. My mother glared at my father as I gawked at him, wondering what could have possibly convinced him to proclaim such nonsense. Not only was it a lie, but the matter sounded as if I was a witch in the process. Dear, that isn't possible or logical. I know you are proud of our daughter, but that last one is simply a lie. You stand in front of our king for pity's sake, my mother said for me. The king raised a hand with a laugh. A joke, it's merely a joke. I understand. My father used to claim I could slay a dragon with my bare hands before I was 10. See, my father said, he understands. I believe I have officially made my birthday wish complete. I relaxed and so did my mother as the two men chuckled. While my father made merry with the king, my attention went to the silent Ronald in the corner. His eyes lingered on me in a way I didn't like. It was almost as if he was sizing me as a piece of meat. Quickly I flashed my eyes away from him and they settled mistakably to the king's, who gave a wink that only I saw. My body was ready to sleep and wake again if it wasn't already dreaming. Finally, dinner ended and I helped my mother collect the bowls and wash them. The men continued to talk, besides Ronald whose eyes were still on me as I entered the kitchen. By then I decided I didn't trust Ronald in the slightest. When we came back from washing the dishes, Ronald and the king were getting ready for their departure. That was when we heard a loud crack and the neighing of horses from our small stable outside. The king clicked his tongue as we heard rain pound against the roof. I don't suppose you would mind us staying for the night. We were supposed to be sleeping outside in the forest anyway. My gaze went to Ronald, who I assumed would demand that they leave and say that it would be entirely inappropriate. Instead, the man didn't peep out a single word. He became more sinister by doing so. Well, you could take our bed and Samantha's bed. The couches are more than comfortable for us, my mother replied sweetly. The king shook his head. I do not believe that is necessary. If you say the couches are snug, then we will sleep there. As I said, we were going to sleep on the ground. I'll get you some blankets and pillows then, I said, gaining an opportunity to leave Ronald's sights. I also wanted to make the king feel as cozy as possible. When I got back, I set up Ronald's couch first, which was in our little music and study room. Thankfully, he was busy talking to my father. I made sure I finished quickly so I didn't have to stay in Ronald's presence. By doing that, I didn't catch much of what he was speaking to my father about. The next room I went to was our sitting room, which was the biggest room in the house. It had white walls, like most Amishi houses, a large couch, and two padded armchairs. Mirrors were the main theme of the room, but there was also a painting of our mill. The king stood in front of it, studying the strokes. He looked my way when he heard me enter. Who is the painter? He asked, nodding his head to the painting. I was a little scared to tell him the truth. It was one of the only things my father didn't mention. Me, but I did that a long time ago. I've lost my touch since then. I started to set up his bed for the night, ignoring that he was coming closer to me. Probably because you're too busy turning straw into gold, he said, his tone sounding serious, but when I looked at him mortified, he laughed, a jest. It is just a jest. My focus returned to my work, but as I puffed out the pillow the king took my hand. I stood to my feet, wondering what he was planning to do next. With his thumb, he rubbed my hand. He looked into my eyes. It's funny, he said softly, I've seen many ladies, but none have left me swooning at the sight of her as you have. What makes you so different? Sire, Come with me to the castle tomorrow, he blurted out, then he straightened as his eyes went to the entrance of the room. I turned to see it was Ronald. He stared at the king then at me. I prepared myself to hear Ronald tell the king no. He only grinned and said, I have no objections. You've made your feelings for the girl clear, and I cannot stop you. The king smiled to the heavens and cried, Bless you, Ronald. Then he looked back over to me, that of course, is still up to you. Do you wish to go to the castle? My father stepped into the room next, beaming with pride. Again I felt it rude to say no, but selfish and inappropriate to say yes. I needed help in knowing what I should say to him, so I looked to my mother, who came into the room as well. I watched her as she watched me, her velvet hair appearing a normal brown color in the dim light of the room. I waited for her to give me some kind of sign of what I should do, but she just stood there. As for my father, he came up to me and said firmly with excitement, "You must. She will definitely go with you." I guess that was my answer, so I looked the king's way and nodded. "I would be honored to come with you to the castle." Thunder growled from outside. Ronald grinned happily as he took his leave to the other room. It was like the thunder had been summoned by him. No ounce of excitement could pull me from the feeling that going to the castle had become a bad idea.